Three, two, one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Core Vision Podcast. I'm your host, Jack Duffield. Today, I have on special guest, recurring guest of the program, actually Ryan Cerney, Mr. Miami Vice himself. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, Jack. You know, another day in the office. Always a pleasure being on the show.
Absolutely. Well, have you been able to go to any of the home games yet, or?
Yeah, actually, the Jets game is the only game that I've missed so far. So I was at the Seattle game, the Buffalo game. Hey, it's only 13,000 in capacity there, but that crowd's getting loud right now because, you know, if you're coming to a game in the middle of a pandemic, you got to be a diehard fan.
You're a true fan. That's true.
Yeah, you're a real true fan. So that place gets bumping a little bit still.
That's awesome to hear. And actually, like, of all the shit you could do and risk your life doing, I mean, at least, like, the Dolphins, you're outside, it's open air, there's sunlight, like, you're having a good time. There's plenty of room to spread out. Like you're saying, there's only, like, 13,000 people, and was that, like, a 60,000 stadium? Like, you could fit way more people in there, but doing it right, doing all the social distancing. So, of all the things you could do, seems pretty good, especially now that you guys are decent. Like,
well, I mean, that's exactly it. And each game, it's getting louder and louder. I mean, I missed the Jets game this week, and I was watching on TV, but I'm telling you, the second Tua put that helmet on, I could hear from my apartment the crowd just erupting over in Miami Gardens.
Honestly,
yeah, it was incredible, and I think within the last 30 minutes, they just named him the starter for next week as well.
Did something happen to Fitzpatrick, or they just think it's time?
No, I think nothing happened to Fitzpatrick. And honestly, I'm a little shocked that they're doing it so early in the season with Fitzpatrick playing well so far. I mean, 1,500 passing yards is respectable, 70% completion percentage. Like, Fitzpatrick looks good right now. And, you know, in that division, Buffalo loses 2 in a row. Like, they're only a game out of first place right now. I thought they might be jumping the gun a little bit, but who am I to say I don't want to see Tua out there, you know, playing again?
Well, of course. I mean, did you see that picture after the game where he's sitting on the 15-yard line at the right hash, whatever it was, and just, like, absorbing the moment? I mean, he's such a football guy and everything. Everybody loves Tua and just more hype. But I think Fitzpatrick, I mean, it's better than if you had him and Rosen going against each other because that would suck for both guys. But I think Tua, he had a few weeks behind Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick, by all accounts, cool-ass dude. So you guys are in good hands, and especially Coach Flores. Like, he's a great coach.
Turn the program around entirely. I mean, you know, I think anytime that a team takes Adam Gase as their head coach, you're kind of taking 3 steps back in the wrong direction. But I'll give it to Flores. I'll give him the credit. I mean, you know, it took him a year to turn a miserable program into one that's 1 game out of first place competing for a playoff spot right now. Very, very impressive. And, yeah, I mean, back to the Tua thing as well. Like, sitting there outside after the game, it's very impressive. But it's actually really cool. He said at the 15-yard line, I mean, that's where, like, he got screwed up in college and, like, hurt himself, was on the 15-yard line. So it's been a long journey for him, you know, to make it to the NFL, like, you know, number 5 overall pick, the hype around him. But it was a cool thing to see.
Absolutely. I think it's easy to forget just because how much of a baller he was in college, but he had a fucking nasty injury. Like, there was a lot of doubts like him coming back. He had, like, that Bo Jackson hip injury to where, like, you might not be the same guy coming back. But I think just modern medicine, probably surgery is a hell of a lot better. They don't have to fillet you like a fish anymore. So, yeah, it's a great story, especially because he's already back too. Like, Bo Jackson got fucked up with a very kind of similar injury. Once you get the hip involved, things can get a little hairy.
Yeah, I know he only played the 1 possession that he had, but he was rolling out of the pocket a little bit. He was moving on that rollout route. I forget who he passed to, but it's like a nice little 3-yard pass. Had some movement to it though.
For sure. No, it's a great story. And especially because you guys, I mean, you have the Rams, Cardinals, Chargers next 3 games. I could see you beating the Cardinals and the Chargers. I don't know about maybe the Rams too, because they're a little inconsistent too. So this might be a good – if Tua can come out there hot, you win those first 2 games, like, you guys might be playoff bounds because the Patriots fucking stink this year. I don't know if you watched their game this weekend, but they should have lost by 40. Like, they're lucky the Broncos don't have an offense because they did everything wrong. Picks, sacks. Drew Lock looked like horse shit, but other than that, like, they could have lost that game easily by 30 if they were playing a real team.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I was watching Red Zone, so I had the game, like, you know, it was coming in and off, but Cam Newton, there was no momentum for that team. They scored their only touchdown. It was like in the 4th quarter, wasn't it? Like, it was never really a game. 12 points for the New England Patriots. Yeah, the former MVP at quarterback, like, that's not supposed to happen. But
No.
The Patriots will find ways to win. I don't have their schedule up right now, but I would be confident on them still taking competing with the Bills for the division this year. But yeah, I mean, we'll wait and see. That division's still pretty wide open between the three teams. Not talking about the Jets by any means.
Oh, well, I mean, especially
and the word playoffs in the same sentence. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the Adam Gase experience going from the Dolphins to the Jets bringing Flores, and just how much further apart. You couldn't be further apart on the spectrum of where you want your football team trending. Because, I mean, the Jets have nothing to be excited for. I mean, you got Mekhi Becton at left tackle, and that's about it. Like, I seriously, I don't really know anything else to be excited about for the Jets.
And Becton hasn't played in 3 games, let's not forget. Because they decided on Thursday Night Football when he has torn ligaments or whatever it was in his shoulder. Yeah, let's put him in after the fourth play of the game when he's on short rest anyways, goes out there. It was the Denver game and, re-injures his shoulder immediately, and he's no foreseeable timetable for him to come back yet.
It's sad. Man, especially the Le'Veon Bell situation, Gase. What do you want to see with Sam Darnold? Because it's not fair to anyone in that Jets locker room. I mean, if anyone should shut it down for COVID, just shut it down.
You're 100% right. I mean, the thing with Sam Darnold, I still really like Sam Darnold, and
me too.
I know he doesn't look great this year. Not he's going out with a high school roster right now and a high school football coach. So it's so hard to evaluate a young quarterback like that. But I'm not making any guarantees or anything. But the Jets, there's no secret they're the worst team in football, and them and the Jaguars, but the Jaguars at least have a win on the year that you would assume the Jets would have the number 1 pick. And if they do, they're saying Trevor Lawrence is the highest rated quarterback coming into the league since John Elway. Like,
he's the truth.
I'm not saying I want to give up on Darnold this quickly, but look at what the Cardinals did. They took their guy Rosen was number 10, but you give up on him immediately, go for Kyler. Kyler turns out to be great. The team's 4-2 this year. Of course, there's a lot more that went into it, but Kyler looks great.
I think you guys need a coach. I mean, I think Sam Darnold could still be salvageable, but you need a whole new system, new coach and everything, because I don't think if you have Trevor Lawrence and Adam Gase, it's not going to matter if you have Trevor Lawrence. But I don't see Adam Gase sticking around unless he's got some blackmail on the Johnson family. I just don't see it. And besides, he's not even the first coach fired at this point. What are they waiting for? Here's the thing with Adam Gase. The only logical thing that I can even think of is Darnold's already had 2 head coaches since he's been around. They want Gase to ride out the second year, so he's not constantly going through a new head coach, constant changes in the locker room and whatnot. And I disagree with it, but I would get that logic. Mm-hmm. But the huge but here is not only is Adam Gase a terrible coach, he's destroying the locker room right now. Look at Le'Veon Bell. Your coach is so bad at keeping chemistry alive and everything that you literally have to release your best player on offense and really your only technical leader on the entire team at this point because he can't stand the coach or the play calling. You don't even get a 7th round pick for this guy, and 80% of his guaranteed money is already accounted for. Yeah,
unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Especially because it's so clear he just went there for the money. So all you had to do was keep him not pissed off, and he was going to stick around and get the check. It was always he was in Pittsburgh. He had a great situation. It was for him. It was about the money, and that's just so sad to see because you guys couldn't get anything back for him. You couldn't keep Robbie Anderson in the offseason. I mean, my God, where you go? What? I don't see any way out for the Jets because even Cleveland, they turned it around eventually, and I think maybe it is the quarterback because it wasn't Hugh Jackson and it wasn't fucking Freddie Kitchens. So,
no, you're right. I mean, it's not to give excuses to the Jets and certainly not to give Adam Gase any credit because he will never find another job in the NFL again after this season. I think that's obvious at this point. But
not a head coach.
Yeah, but going into the season, you had some potential. C.J. Mosley. I know he was out all of last year, but when he was in Baltimore, he was top 5 in the NFL in total tackles. He was a genuine, really good, linebacker, and he was going to be the leader of that team. Him and Jamal Adams, who was, they list him at safety, but he's he's a hybrid. You know, like he plays linebacker. He's blitzing. You know, he can play DB a little bit too. And you lose your two best players on defense before the season starts. Mostly opts out because of COVID reasons, and then you know, you were supposed to replace Robbie Anderson with Denzel Mims, the Baylor wide receiver in the second round, who of course tore his hamstring up and hasn't played at all this year. So there's a lot of beatings to the Jets team this year, but it's just inexcusable still. You know, I mean, I don't know if like you follow like the spreads or, you know, like the betting information. I think the Jets haven't even covered their spread. Of course, they've been the underdog in every single game. They haven't even covered their spread once.
That's pretty sad because, I mean, Vegas they're in the business to make money. So if you can't even cover the spread, like, because they're going to give you 20 points, 18, 19 points. And damn, that's sad. Well, especially Jamal Adams, that's like the first domino that this season you kind of knew that this wasn't going anyway, like correctly, because he's your best guy, young guy. He's going to be the highest paid dude. You could give him, franchise tag him, and you could not keep him around for anything.
Yeah,
at least you got some picks for him, though. That's at least you got a good return for him. But
yeah, we did get a good return for him. But you know, let's not forget that the Jets needed a quarterback in that draft, but we drafted Jamal Adams because he fell to 6. And let's not forget who was in that draft that went number 10 overall.
I know, the Mahomes.
By the name of Mr. Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
so if you're going to draft your franchise safety, you better keep him around for you know, for the entirety of his career. But yeah, I mean, it's a common theme with Adam Gase. Like you saw it in Miami as well. Tannehill is now undefeated with Tennessee. Gase gets rid of him. You know, Jarvis Landry, of course.
I even forgot he was on the Dolphins.
Devontae Parker was a nobody when Adam Gase was there, and now he's a Pro Bowler. Like there's a common theme. Like, you know, Dolphins now coming to the Jets. All these players just leave, and there's no logic for that guy to have anything in the NFL. I was on the phone with a fan from the Dolphins yesterday. Actually, he was talking my ear off for about an hour, and he's a Dolphins fan. I let him know I was from New York. Like, you know, like I kind of rep the Jets, but you know, Dolphins are paying the paychecks at the end of the day. And he's right. Adam Gase. He's like, I'll tell you one thing about your coach, Adam Gase. Like, he shouldn't even be shining the shoes in the locker room anymore. Like, that guy is just a detriment to the NFL.
I see. He needs to go back to high school and just start over, come back, change his name. Because
yeah, he should just drop out of football at this point.
And my God. So that division, I mean, it's still wide open. I mean, the Bills, and especially another thing too about Mahomes, like the Bills, they traded that was their pick, and they traded it to Kansas City, and I mean, they got a bunch of shit for it, but still, like, the Mahomes thing is so weird, and a lot of people passed on him. Everyone, it was the same. People had questions about him. No one thought he was going to be this. I mean, no one fucking comes out and is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in their third year. It's ridiculous. Like,
no, I mean, we've never seen anything like Mahomes before, and I would almost go out on a ledge. I mean, I'm only 23, but I would argue that this Chiefs offense the last 3 years is the best offense that I've ever seen in the NFL so far in my lifetime. I mean, it's you're Mahomes, as long as he stays healthy. I mean, you know, I know this is like a Max Kellerman take, but like
here we go.
He has the potential to go down as the greatest ever. Like we've never seen a cannon like that on an arm, you know, throwing the football. We've never seen the way that he throws before. We've never seen an offense like that. You know, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, it's Clyde Edwards. Like the team's unbelievable on offense. And yeah, do I think that he would be the same quarterback if he was on the Bills or the Jets? I mean, probably not. Would he still lead these teams to 10 wins? I mean, probably.
That's a great Madden sim. Mahomes on the Jets. What happens? I mean, they're going to win at least 4 more games. Like
Mahomes on this Jets roster is winning 6 games max.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's the limit. But
that's my take on that.
Oh, I don't know. I agree with you 100%. Though he is so talented. I think he's already better than Peyton Manning historically. I mean, they've got 1 ring. Well, I guess Peyton Manning had 2, but he kind of had a bum one at the end there. But he's more talented. He's got a bigger arm than Peyton Manning. I mean, and then just ring wise, I'm not going to put him ahead of Tom Brady yet. And the Aaron Rodgers thing, the longevity, but for some reason, Peyton Manning, I think he's an easy target to take down and I'd rather have Patrick Mahomes in his prime than Peyton Manning in his prime. 100%, no question.
Yeah, I mean, I would. They both. What do they? They both have 1 season where they've thrown 50 touchdowns, I think. But
Mm-hmm.
There's no argument. I mean, Mahomes in this current prime that he is right now is it's unbelievable. I don't even know what more you could say about him. The dude could throw 60 yards downfield. He's mobile. He can move. He throws underhand passes. These like little, like you're turning a double play in baseball type of passes. We've never seen a quarterback that just like goes about the game the way that he does, and it's real exciting to watch. I mean, the Chiefs are never a team I really had anything against, but the NFL is going to get tired of this team real quick because they're going to be seeing a lot of Super Bowls over these next 10, 15 years.
Oh, for sure. And I think the baseball thing has to amount because his arm angles are ridiculous. And like Matt Stafford last week had some sort of like sidearm pass and everyone was going crazy for it. But it's like Mahomes, like you're saying, the underarm, all this and that, he can hit any angle on the sidelines. He's one of the most talented throwers I've ever seen. Like you're totally right. Like I don't think you can hit that enough.
He's the most talented thrower I have ever seen. I'm not saying he's the best I've ever seen yet, of course, but when it just comes to like throwing the football, who are you putting over him?
Yeah,
it
seems like when defenders are going to hit him at the sideline, like I swear they don't hit him as hard as they could. Like no one wants to be the guy to fuck up Mahomes, it seems, and maybe just because they like him or whatever it is, he's the face of the league. But you don't want that penalty or that fine. But he doesn't take the hits. Like he gets out there, he's shady, and he's not even that quick. But he just like gets out of the way. It's like a little do-si-do here or there.
I mean, as we speak, I have ESPN on in the background, and they just show that like 3rd and 5 play from the Bills game yesterday in the third quarter where he runs out like 2 yards, runs back behind the line of scrimmage, jukes out 2 Buffalo Bill defenders, and runs to get like a 4th and inches play just like that. It's just sick watching this guy.
No,
that's a team that's spread every single time if you're a betting man.
Absolutely. I was going to take him first overall in fantasy, but fucking Albert snatched him up, man. It was terrible.
Oh, Albert Smith snatching him up. You hate to see it.
I know. I ended up with freaking Lamar, and Lamar is just taking a shit this year. I don't know what's going on. Like, he's still fine, but he's not putting up those MVP numbers I needed him to.
Yeah. Hey, at least you didn't take Dak like I did.
Oh,
that was a blow. And then
you drafted Dak Prescott? I mean, like, he's someone, I don't know. You could pick him up on the waiver at the end of our draft.
Well, he was. I was like stacking up on the running backs and the receivers. I didn't take a quarterback till like the later rounds, but Dak was killing it. I mean, Dak had a couple like 500-yard games, I think, and like he was putting up 40 plus fantasy points. But yeah, I had him and Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers has, he's going to be good. But last week, 2 interceptions. I lost by 0.1 points in fantasy last week because Aaron Rodgers couldn't throw more than 150 passing yards or throw 2 interceptions. But
I had the Bucs defense, and I was scared that Aaron Rodgers was just going to like tear a hole in Tampa Bay, and I sat him. The other guy had Derrick Henry. I lost by like 10 points or something, but I could have fucking won if I started the Bucs defense. Live and learn. That's fantasy though.
That is fantasy. That is another team though. That Buccaneers team it's frustrating to watch Tom Brady like thriving on that team. It's just everything always seems to work out for him fine. Like he's got this big game against Aaron Rodgers. They rarely go against each other. Mm-hmm. And Aaron Rodgers has one of the worst games. I think they said the last time he had a multi-interception game was like 2016 or something like that. And, the 2 pick sixes, it just everything always seems to fall into Brady's lap. And I just hate it.
And no, I think there's some crazy luck shit with him too because they had a rookie right tackle. Their line isn't that solid, but they've been playing really well. Gronkowski looked like a fucking Frankenstein out there the first couple seasons. I think we can all outrun Gronkowski right now, but he can still get open and catch those big bombs. It's like and then
he's such a big
good.
Body. I mean, like on the touchdown play, he was decently well covered, but when you're Rob Gronkowski, what is he, like 260, 270 at this point?
Absolutely.
He's a tank. Like you can't put him on man coverage.
And that
unless like there's some quick defensive lineman. I mean, these guys just aren't big enough to cover him in single coverage. It's impossible.
No, you would need like Jamal Adams, and then like there's no guarantee. It's a certain type of player though. You're right. Like it's like fucking Ed Reed would be the one guy you'd want, but he's long gone now. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a couple Tampa Bay fans on the phone, trying to sell them Dolphins tickets, but I don't think they want to watch the Dolphins play when they got Tom Brady. But yeah, no, I mean, like they're saying that like they think the reason Gronkowski hasn't really been involved in the offense is, like just at this point in his career, he's just so old and he's so beat up. And I mean, the guy's probably had at least 10 concussions in his professional career. Like he's,
Sure.
He gets one more of these, he's out for multiple weeks. They're thinking that the Bucs offense is, they want to keep him involved. They want to keep him, not rusty or anything like that. But it'll be like the year that the Patriots went to the Super Bowl. What was it? Was it the Falcons year where he didn't play the whole year, comes out of retirement for the postseason, and just absolutely takes off? Like they just want to like ease him back into it where he's not taking the hits, and then later in the season, like Gronkowski's your guy. But
true.
I'm not too sure about that, but the couple Tampa Bay fans that I was talking to, that was their take on the whole Gronkowski situation.
And especially with Howard going down, I mean, he's a legitimate, like, decent guy. You're stuck behind Evans, Godwin, and everyone else, and Jameis Winston only wants to bomb it downfield. So losing Howard puts you in a position where you need more of Gronk, because Cameron Brate is fine, but he ain't that guy. Like, if you really want to utilize him in your offense, you're going to – especially Brady, he's just so used to Gronk, and Brady isn't as great pushing it down the field. Gronk ain't going to get downfield very quickly anyway, so it kind of is a natural marriage at this point in their career. Like,
oh, for sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure every time that the Bucs are first and goal, Tom Brady's thrown a touchdown, or not thrown a touchdown, but they've scored a touchdown on every single possession so far this year. I mean, it's no secret. You have to put two guys on Gronk, and then the rest of the offense opens up, and it's a touchdown every time.
Especially Mike Evans in the red zone is a fucking savage. Like, Chris Godwin is that fly guy, like Tyreek Hill light, but Mike Evans is a beast. He's the one who made Johnny Manziel look good. I think that's what we all forget. Like, Johnny Manziel really wasn't that special. He was throwing it to fucking Mike Evans at Texas A&M against, some bum-ass SEC.
Good point. That's a good point.
It actually was the old Big 12 years. Like, they had no defense in the Big 12. So.
Oh, yeah. No, the great point. I mean, it's Mike Evans – he's not talked about enough. Like, this guy's potential top 5 receiver in the entire league. And I don't know. He doesn't get the credit that he deserves, I feel like.
Yeah, and right now, like, that's not who Brady is right now. He's not going to go bomb it out like Jameis was. Like, that's why the only reason the Bucs could do okay last year is because you had Godwin and freaking Mike Evans, because Jameis, he couldn't be a game manager. And I think that's the biggest difference between the Bucs this year and last year. They can win these close games. Like, if your defense isn't lights out, you can still be around. Where it's like Jameis, you just close your eyes and pray. That ball's going to find home.
It's a great point. Jameis, the Canaan of Mahomes, but the IQ of Adam Gase.
A Roomba, fuck, man. It's like well, especially, and then the Saints, like, I don't know what the whole Taysom Hill situation is. Like, there's something weird there, because Taysom Hill should not be getting this many snaps. Like, I mean, I understand that you might have questions about Drew Brees, but he's still a solid quarterback. Why are you putting Taysom Hill out there for all these plays? He draws so much attention. And then if you're going to throw it to him, like, why you can't throw it to him? Like, he should only be there for like a gadget distraction, because once you get him the ball, he's not dynamic.
Of course, he's your wildcat guy, and they're concerned about Drew Brees. I mean, I haven't watched too many Saint games yet, but like everything that I'm like reading up on and whatnot, like they're concerned about the way Drew Brees is playing this year. But looking at his stats right now, 108 QBR, 71% completion percentage, over 1,000 yards passing already this year. Like he's not playing bad.
And he doesn't have Michael Thomas, so. And
he doesn't have Michael. He's still, yeah. I mean, he doesn't have Michael Thomas. So what is his deal right now? I know. Was it the team or was it the league that suspended him for clocking his own teammate?
I think the Saints suspended him for that, and he's coming off that injury. But they're going to get him back out there as soon as they can. I mean, Drew Brees can't really push the ball down the field. Their other receivers are just average to okay. It's the Michael Thomas slant. He had the most receptions in NBA or NFL history last year, and 90% of them felt like it came off that 5-yard slant. So they need that in their offense, because Drew Brees isn't pushing it down the field. Kamara, though, they're not. If you're going to use Taysom Hill that much, do you realize you have Alvin Kamara out there? You can do the same shit Taysom Hill can do. Like, he can do everything Taysom Hill can do, but better.
Like, if you're going to pay the man, use him.
Well, and then they're paying Taysom Hill $16 million guaranteed this year. And they got Cam in New England paying for fucking 2 bags of peanuts.
Yeah. Wow, $16 million for Taysom Hill?
Fully guaranteed.
That's tough to justify.
He's 30.
Really tough to justify. Yeah, no. He's
People think he's a young guy. He's not a young guy at all.
He's a wildcat. Like, he's a wildcat QB. Like, that's what he does. That's how he plays. He should be getting paid like what Cam's getting paid. But you're 100% right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Saints are a little bit of a nutcase, but you have one of the best quarterbacks ever. Like you said, like once Michael Thomas comes back, they're gonna find their groove. They're gonna compete. They're gonna be in the playoffs this year. It's not the start I don't think anybody thought of for the Saints stuff.
No, they've been looking a little hairy, but I think one of the biggest surprises is Justin Herbert and the Chargers. That guy's good. He's really fucking good.
Yes, and nobody thought this was going to be the team. I mean, here's the thing. I really do feel for Tyrod Taylor. I think the situation that he was put in is just awful. I mean, he's always been just like a pro's pro. You know, when he was in Buffalo, like he stuck it out. He like he deserves to play, and there's always something that happens to him where, like he loses his starting opportunity. And who's to think that, you get a shot through your lungs and, you're mandatory have to miss a couple weeks. And then Justin Herbert, who everybody thought was going to be this big project, is now like a genuine, legit starting quarterback in the NFL.
Absolutely. And like he's played Mahomes, Brady. There was some other guy too. He started out in this, like, what a gauntlet to begin your career. But no, he's looked really good. 6'6", can move in the pocket. He's hitting dudes. There's weapons there. Like, it just all goes to show, like, how bad the Jets are. I think that's what this all leads back. Like, every bum franchise finds their way out. Because the Chargers were supposed to be nothing. Every bum franchise has their time, and you're supposed to turn it around. And that's like, we're waiting on you guys.
I will argue, though, the Chargers still only have one win on the year. But they do look a lot better than the Jets.
A lot better. It's like, oh my God. Would you rather be the Chargers or the Jets right now?
Oh, I would take any team in the NFL over taking the Jets
exactly.
right now. Kidding me?
Oh my God.
They play the Jags next week, so that'll be. I mean, that Jags defense is terrible. Should be a good game for Herbert. I'm excited because like with the Dolphins schedule, you play all the rookie quarterbacks this year. And they're all going to be at Hard Rock Stadium, so I'll be able to catch those games. But they play the Chargers, Justin Herbert. I mean, with Tua, announced as a starter at this point, you're going to see 5 and 6 go at it. And then the Bengals are in town in November as well. So the Burrow Tua matchup it's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And I think that could be an easily winnable game because the Bengals are exciting. I think Burrow probably is the best rookie quarterback, but he's got
for sure.
Dog shit situation, and there's just not enough there right now. Like, they basically threw AJ Green off the team, then had to bring him back because they had nothing else they could throw to. Like, even with
Burrow's been impressive though. I mean, he's like a 300 passing yard machine every single week. It's
absolutely,
you see him doing this with nothing, and I mean that offensive line is putrid, but he's still finding ways to get it done a little bit. Drive that offense downfield. But yeah, you're right. I mean, between those three quarterbacks, Tua is probably in the best situation right now. I mean, I don't know what the rankings are for the defense this year, but just watching their games, their defense is legit. Like the Seahawks are probably, if not the best team in football, they're a top 3 team in football right now. And everybody's forgetting, like the Dolphins were within like a possession and a half the entire game until like late in the fourth quarter. Fitzpatrick throws a bomb, it gets intercepted, and they put up, I think the Seahawks put up like 31 points or something like that. But, the Dolphins defense kept them in it until late in the game. Like it was like 24, I believe it was 24-18 at one point. They couldn't find the end zone that game. It was just field goal after field goal. But you're going against the best team in football. It was that defense looks good. I know I went off on a little bit of a tangent, but
no, absolutely. Because I mean, hey, you're the Dolphins guy, man. You are our Dolphins source, so we need you to talk the Dolphins. And they're not the prettiest team to watch, but they're a good football team. They're well coached. They're going to grind out every game. Like, I don't see them getting blown out anymore. Like last year, they were getting blown out by teams almost week in and week out. And I don't think that's going to happen as much, if ever.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, let's not forget, they didn't have a single win the entire year. And then who's the team to end that streak for them was no other than the New York Jets. But story for another day. But yeah, no, I mean, you're right. And they're finding gems in the draft. Myles Gaskin, 7th round pick last year, averaging over. I mean, I know they're using like the 3 running back set right now and whatnot, but he's averaging over 4 yards a carry this year. 7th round pick, looking okay. Like they're finding gems. I know Byron Jones has been injured for most of the year, but when he's playing, like, he's been looking real good. Same with Van Noy. He's had some injury problems, but the team looks good. The culture is great there. And yeah, I mean, it was a real statement win after San Francisco. And, you know, when you ride that momentum like that, then you go against the Jets. I mean, you know, you're going to stomp on them. And then who do they play next week? They play the Broncos.
No, I know what you mean now. Yeah.
I mean, the Broncos, that's a game that you absolutely should win. And I would say that they would be the favorite for that game.
I think so. And that's going to be in Miami too?
That is in Denver. Looks like it's a 4:05 start.
Okay. Well, I guess the altitude.
Dolphins back to back. Actually, no. I'm sorry. That can't be right because they moved the schedule around because of COVID issues.
Oh, right. That's true. Everything's all fucked up.
Yeah, they play the Rams next. I'm sorry about that. Mm-hmm. They do play the Rams at Hard Rock Stadium, though. And yeah, I mean, like you said, the Rams are one of those inconsistent teams. Are they the better team? Of course they are. But yeah, I mean, it's another game that should go down to the wire.
That's honestly, I mean, it's kind of a hot take and kind of idiotic to say, but I'd rather have Ryan Fitzpatrick in that situation than Jared Goff. Fuck Jared Goff. I think that guy, he's so overpaid. He's just an average quarterback, and he's one of the highest paid guys in the league, and that is going to strap them for so many years.
Yeah.
I don't like the Rams situation. Like,
just because they went to a Super Bowl because they had one of the best defenses we've ever seen in the NFL, and Aaron Donald had like 64 sacks that year. I mean, of course you're going to go to the Super Bowl.
True.
Jared Goff was terrible in that Super Bowl, and he's, like you said, he's a very, very average quarterback, 62%. He's got the passing yards up there, but he just doesn't get it done. 22 touchdowns thrown last year. I don't like him.
No, well, then they had like Brandon Cooks, Sammy Watkins. They've had some like dudes in there, and he's never been anything that great. And then who's their running back who was really good? Then he turned into a bum, Gurley or whatever. It was just a weird run team, and I think you're right. That was defensive man. They had Dante Fowler, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ray, the Jaguars West, and that's another thing too, because we actually are, you know, transplant Jags fans at the end of the day, like a little part of our heart. They have so many good guys that are balling somewhere else now. Calais Campbell, Dante Fowler, Ngakoue. Except Blake Bortles.
The Campbell one hurt. I mean, there's not many guys that are genuinely happy to play for a team that is in Jacksonville of all places. Like this isn't New York. This isn't LA. This isn't even Miami. This is Jacksonville, Florida, where they have one professional sports team and a fan base that you know, I know a lot of diehard Jag fans. I'm not going to attack the fan base here, and I'd like to watch them win too. But when you were bad for so many years that the NFL had to black out your games because you had 5,000 people in attendance on years of not social distancing, like, who wants to play for that team? And here Calais Campbell was, you know, he owned a house in Jacksonville. He loved the city. He loved the fans. He loved playing here. And you get rid of him for, what was it? It was like they didn't get any high round picks.
No,
right? It was like
he's an older guy, but still.
5th round pick. I believe it was like 4th or 5th or something like that. And I get it. He's an older guy, but he's an all-pro himself.
Absolutely.
He's a leader for that. He's a leader for that young team. I mean, fully rebuilding, you need some sort of structure in that locker room. But
they got
that one hurt.
It's sad. And then even Telvin Smith, like, I don't even know what the fuck happened to Telvin Smith. He must be on a beach somewhere drinking a pina colada. I don't know, but
the Jaguars are they're another team that, you know, they get the number 1 pick. I mean, they're taking Trevor, and they could easily get the number 1 pick. The Jets just have to. I don't know where the Jets are going to find their win this year, but it's so rare for a team to go 0-16. You would assume that you get a win at some point, and it becomes interesting for, you know, the race for number 1. The two teams that I like to follow, the Jets and the Jaguars, and they're both racing for the first overall pick.
I'm saying, man. And then I kind of like the Lions too, and that's just hard to watch because, I mean,
the Lions, of course,
they're so much worse than they should be, and it doesn't matter what's going to happen. Like, they just fucking stink. And that's someone they should tank. I mean, how much more are you going to get out of Matt Stafford? How long are you going to squeeze that orange? I mean, the juice is gone.
Yeah, and the juice has been gone for years. I don't know why they haven't taken a chance at a quarterback yet. Like, you know what Stafford is. He's a very mediocre quarterback. you know what he's going to be. I don't know why they haven't, taken that chance yet.
Well, I think because I don't know, because we're big NBA fans too, and it's like a first round pick. You're like, yeah, you just get a first round pick. But NFL picks, they don't give up first for anything. And if you got Matt Stafford, you probably think like, oh, I want a first or second. And if you can't get, a third, fourth, fifth for Le'Veon Bell, like you just the value in the NFL and like how they trade the picks and all that, it's hard to follow.
It doesn't make that much sense to me. Like I don't know. Like there's busts every year in the first round in the NFL. Of course, there's busts in every draft. Like that's how drafts work. You never know like really what you're drafting until you draft them. Mm-hmm. But I'll never understand why the NFL does that. And I mean, look at the Jets for example. They had to trade. They traded like a defensive captain, McClendon. I understand he's 34 years old at this point, but they even had to throw in another pick to get a 6th round pick out of it. Like The NFL and their draft picks has always been so weird to me. I mean, I get it that there's a lot of value in them, and there's a lot of value in the later rounds, which is something you don't see in the NBA. I mean, it's really the top 15 picks of the drafts are going to be, they're going to be legit. And then after that, like there's a steep fall off with your occasional sleeper and whatnot. But the NFL, I mean, there's guys in the 4th, 5th round every year that turn out to be studs. And Tom Brady was a 5th round pick for crying out loud.
It's true.
Where it's so weird. And the way that they don't trade players for players too. I'll never understand it.
It's tough. I think because there's so many positions and there are 7 rounds. Like, I mean, you got 22 positions, you only got 7 picks. Like, I mean, I guess that's kind of part of it. Like you need those draft picks. But yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's not easy to follow. And if I was an NFL GM, like I don't know how you really improve your roster unless you do strike gold, or you're gonna, turn Jamal Adams or like Minka Fitzpatrick into a couple first and cross your fingers. But
yeah, no, I mean it's true. There's a lot on player development too. I mean, you really have to be in like the right system in the NFL to thrive. I mean, I think Le'Veon Bell is a prime example of that too. In Pittsburgh, he's by far and away the best running back in the NFL. He goes to the Jets and he averages 3.1 yards per carry because the system isn't right for him. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and you have to be the right type of franchise to be able to find those gems in the later rounds. Like the Jets, for example, they're not finding any gems in the later rounds. Ja'Kai Polite a couple of years ago was supposed to be this great stud out of the UF, this great pass rushing guy, doesn't even make the team. I don't even think he's in the NFL right now. I know he was on the practice squad for Seattle for a couple of weeks, and they released him because he's a nut job.
Yikes.
And yeah, that is what makes the NFL draft interesting, though, just because there's so many guys that you don't know, unless you're one of these gurus that, does mock drafts into the 5th round and you scout yourself 300 different players and whatnot. But I can't do that. I don't have the time for doing anything like that. But, yeah, it's an interesting setup.
And I think there's one missing piece out there for the Jets or the Dolphins. Get Antonio Brown. Pay him. I don't know how much you have to pay him, but he's better than what you got. And he's from Miami. And you don't need him to do a lot. You just need him to be fucking out there.
Yeah, I would not – look, I want all the talent in the world to go to the Jets and the Dolphins as well, but I don't see him as a fit in either place. If you want to talk about nut jobs, I mean,
he's the nut
jobs in all of the 4 major sports. You're talking about Antonio Brown, but
true.
The Jets, first off, like they're just such a dumpster fire. Like they're already like the locker room hates each other. You stick a guy like Antonio Brown in there, and I would guarantee team brawls like just happen. He's he's just like their season's over. They actually, Jamison Crowder is one of the better receivers in the league right now this year. He actually accounts for over 50% of their entire offense so far this year in the first 6 games that they've played. I mean, he's over 100 yards, I think 4 times this year already. Like look, the Jets roster is terrible, and would Antonio Brown benefit them? Of course he would, but I just think the situation they're in, their season's over. The chemistry is already crap, and then you put in a guy like him on the team, it's a dumpster fire. And Flores, I think, in Miami is that's a great locker room right now. And you don't really have those head cases on the team. And I don't think there's a reason to jeopardize it. And they're another team that has a really good receiving core. And overall solid offense all around that, again, like Antonio Brown is benefiting any team he goes to, but it's got to be one of those teams that has winning culture for a real long time. I thought New England would have worked out for him, but then he decided to get freaky with a female trainer, and we all know how that ended up.
Right.
You gotta get rid of him at that point. But you either have to find him like one of these teams that has like such a strict winning culture already, a team like Seattle almost I would consider, which I know they considered him too, or I don't know. I really see that as like the only fit for him. A team that he's just got to play football. He's not there for the show. Like he's just got to tough it out.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Miami, just, let him go home, back to your roots. But he's a nut job. And plus, there comes a point where you're so rich, you don't need the money. So, like, why the hell do I care about going to Miami and playing in front of all my homeboys? Like, I don't know if that really matters to these guys anymore. But
yeah,
do you think the Jets receivers, because you said Jameson Crowder looking good, were they playing better with Darnold or Flacco?
Are you kidding me? Flacco looks like the worst backup quarterback in the NFL right now. I would
that's good for Darnold.
I mean, yeah, Darnold and Crowder have like a real good connection. Just younger quarterbacks and slot receivers, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely look better under Darnold. Flacco should be retired at this point. I think I'll bring up the stats. I mean, I watched the game on Sunday. He was absolutely terrible. He couldn't. Here's the thing with Flacco too. He can't move anymore. He's so old, and he just doesn't have it. That it's like bringing up the stats. So like he can't move in the offensive line without Becton is a mess right now. And he was under pressure the entire game, and he got sacked. What was it? I think it was like 4 times or something like that. The receivers on that team don't stand a chance because Flacco can't get the ball out of his hands because he's getting put on his butt every single time. But Darnold's mobile, and I would argue the best thing about Darnold is that he gets out of the pocket quickly, and throwing on the run is by far and away the best part of his game. And when the pocket collapses, which it does a lot for the Jets, the line has improved this year, but it's not what it is. It's not some great offensive line. Like he's able to move out of the pocket and throw on the run successfully every single time. That I would take Darnold 10 times out of 10.
And especially we kind of knew Flacco was cooked last year when rookie Drew Lock, who like no one thought was going to do anything, beat him out basically in like 2 games. Like,
yeah. I mean, 47% completion in the Miami game, terrible. Interception, of course, and then I guess he looked okay at Arizona. 195 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 54% completion though. I thought he was going to be a good veteran backup quarterback because that was their biggest issue in the offseason. Like Darnold has missed time every single year that he's played in the league so far. Maybe not his rookie year. I'll have to check that again. But like they always used to put out these duds as their backup quarterbacks, and they wanted something decent this year in case Darnold got hurt, which of course he did, and it's just been duds.
Yeah.
Flacco's a dud.
Well, it bodes well for him that he can at least beat because, Flacco, for all his faults, he is a professional guy. He's done it. He knows the right thing to do, and he goes out there with, like, the game plan in mind. He's going to execute the game plan. And if he still can't outperform Sam Darnold, I mean, that's at least good for Sam Darnold that he isn't getting taken out by some replacement-level guy. So I like Sam Darnold. It's hard to defend him because, we haven't seen that much, to really, latch onto and defend him unless we go back to the Rose Bowl. And
the Dallas Cowboys game last year is what I always ride by when people attack Sam Darnold. He looked great that game. Led them, game-winning drive with 2 minutes left. That Dallas team was somewhat legit last year.
Well, I think that's the ultimate underachieving, overhyped team. I hate talking about the Cowboys, but you have to. They get so much clout. Everyone loves that and talk about them, whether it's good or bad. And they're oh my God, how many times they got 8-8?
I have to ask you. What is that division right now? What are we? We're 6 weeks into the season. Only one of their teams has had a bye so far. So that's 23 games, and they are combined for 4 wins, right?
I think so, and a tie. They got
4 or 5 wins of 23 games played in that entire division. So I have to ask you, who do you think is going to be taking home the crown in in the AFC East, the NFC East.
The NFC least. I think because I'm not seeing it out of Andy Dalton. I think the Eagles will eventually just fall on their face into the playoffs because I think Dallas is so limited with Andy Dalton. They looked okay in the first half, and they couldn't even score a touchdown, and that's them looking okay. So I don't really see any progression for them. He can't push the ball down because they have fast young receivers to where you got a young guy like Dak. At least he can lay it out there. Like that's not what Andy Dalton's good at now. He needs like these precision route runners. You got Cooper, but I think Eagles just have enough talent overall that their defense is respectable enough because Cowboys defense is terrible. They will win a couple close games, at least keep them close, where Dallas, if they get behind, that's it. Like, they're not going to stop anyone. They have to score 1,000,000 points. So I think Eagles overall right now without Dak are probably going to win the division. Cowboys without Dak.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Andy Dalton is still a pro's pro. Like, he's been in the playoffs before. He was, and this Dallas offense is just surrounded. I mean, I know their offensive line is beat up, but that offense is still surrounded by superstars that you would think at some point they would find their groove. But, I mean, like you said, Dalton looks terrible. He's looked terrible. I mean, the game before, what was he? He had like a couple possessions in there. I mean, I know he had the game-winning drive with I forget like who he was going to, but like he threw a touchdown pass, like it was respectable. But Arizona is what, like their defensive rating is like middle of the pack right now in the NFL, and you put up 10 points against them. And you have the best rookie receiver in CeeDee Lamb right now. Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott is always going to be Zeke. Like that team should not be putting, and they will not win games if they only put up 10 points because their defense is going to allow 35 every game.
And the Bengals had a good defense, and they still couldn't win. Then, I mean, Andy Dalton's like they went through AJ Green's whole career basically, and they had a great receiver to where like, all right, he was good, great, and then he's back down to being okay again. Andy Dalton throughout this whole time couldn't do anything, and now you're asking him at an advanced age with no defense to go out there and win you games when he couldn't do it with the great scenario back in the day. I don't see it. Like, I mean, they'll be respectable if they can score points, they can do it, but I just don't see Andy Dalton in a ton of shootouts at this stage in his career.
Yeah, I mean, the only way that they're going to – well, I shouldn't say the only way they're going to win the division because you could easily win that division with like 6 wins this year. But if you're going to compete for it, you have to put up points on that team. It's a team meant for offense, and yeah, the Eagles would be my take too. I mean, the Giants are a bottom 3 team in football. Washington is probably as well a bottom 4 team in football. Like it's – You have 2 teams before the season started that you just immediately have written off. And then the 2 teams that were supposed to compete are both playing like absolute dog shit right now.
Yeah. I mean, especially the Giants. Without Saquon, there's nothing there really. I mean, Evan Ingram's nice, but what are you going to – Daniel Jones and Evan Ingram, what are they really going to do? And Washington, I guess that's the other team going for worst run franchise in the NFL. At least Dan Snyder is the worst owner. You got everyone else is that going for him at least. You don't have Dan Snyder. And besides, you can't.
I don't know. When your owner's going on the record and calling Adam Gase an offensive mastermind, that's real tough to defend.
But you have to. I mean, like, if your boss goes out there and says, yeah, he's a fucking bum, but I still got to pay the bills. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, they're compromised. I mean, you can go through and see all of these like owners, like, oh yeah, he's our guy. They're fired next week because you kind of have to come out and say that, like.
Yeah, I mean, you do. You could also set the tone and be like, we're not a franchise that tanks. We're not a franchise that like, has this type of losing culture. Put the pressure on Gase. I mean, I know they are behind doors, of course, but put the pressure on him. Tell the New York media that's looking for a story every second of the day that you're upset with the way the team's playing, that you're upset with the performance of your head coach, and I don't know, like just give us spark here, man. You're 0-6 and you're getting blown out by 10 points plus every single game. Like, change it up. Don't say stuff like don't get behind your coach. He's not doing a good job. Everybody knows he's not doing a good job.
And I wonder what the story is in kind of New York. Like, what is the Post saying about it? Because the Giants and Jets stink. So, like, what are you going to say about that? I mean, the Bills are the team of the state right now, and that's sad.
They don't talk about the Bills.
Exactly.
I was listening WFE on like the New York sports radio this whole morning, and like they're not even talking about another sport right now. They're just ripping. The Giants even won this week, and they're getting ripped apart, and the Jets are getting ripped apart. It's like they're just so. It's just genuine disgust coming out of these people. Is the way to put it. And yeah, I mean they're looking for that spark from both teams. Like they something needs to change. New York has always demanded winning, and they will always demand winning because they're the biggest market in the entire country when it comes to sports. And it's unacceptable that your teams are this bad.
Especially with the Knicks, too. Actually, we can transition to the Knicks because the draft is coming, too. What do you think the Knicks are going to do? Because everything's coming out. They might trade for Chris Paul or try to trade for Westbrook, try to trade that pick out of there. Like, I don't know.
Well, I saw that Bleacher – look, I hate Bleacher Report, man. Like, they hate the Knicks so much. And the trade proposals and, like, the mock trades and drafts that they have for them are just genuinely straight up insulting to me. Like, it just pisses me off reading Bleacher Report in the way, like, they don't even put, like, the Knicks side of things at heart. Did you see, like, their now I'm screaming at this point. I got to, like, take it a tone down. This just gets me so worked up.
Get fired up, man.
The recent trade proposal for Russell Westbrook is that you clean house, you're moving RJ Barrett, you're moving the 8th overall pick and more first-round picks, Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, anything young you have on your team to Houston for Russell Westbrook? What Knicks forget about, like, management. What Knicks fan would even get behind a trade like that? There's no shit, we're rebuilding. We don't need a player like Westbrook right now. I get it. You want to like change the culture to this winning culture. What's he going to do? Westbrook's going to drive in, pass out to Wayne Ellington, who's going to shoot up another brick for the day. Or I think Mitchell Robinson was even involved in this trade proposal. Like, what do they think we are? We're just a franchise that wants to trade everything off so we could get, like, that superstar name. We're in the middle of a rebuilding process. And the way you rebuild with – oh, say that again?
His contract would just eat up your cap. Like, I mean, he has one of the worst contracts in the league.
Here's the thing. I'm actually not that upset with getting Chris Paul on the team if the price is right. Like, number 8 is completely off the table in any way possible. And I'm not saying the Knicks draft well because they certainly don't. They missed out on Donovan Mitchell. They missed out on, Frank Ntilikina. I love the guy. Like, I love the way that he, like, hustles on defense. Like, he's a bust. Kevin Knox is a bust. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was drafted 2 picks after Kevin Knox was. Like, they're terrible when it comes to drafting, and I get it, but you have to stick to the process. Like, Philly was terrible at drafting too. Not Okafor. Who's the guy they drafted in the Karl Anthony Towns draft?
Noel?
Yeah, Nerlens Noel. Like, but eventually you get your guy. Eventually you get Embiid. Eventually you get Simmons. Like, I mean, of course, like, that turned out to be a dumpster fire, but you know what? They're a genuine playoff team, and they can compete with those guys. And eventually you will land some of these picks. But if you're trading everything off for Russell Westbrook, of all people, that it's insulting to me. But here's the – yeah, oh, sorry. I was just saying, like, the thing is with Chris Paul, you need they really haven't had a franchise point guard. I mean, unless you want to include, like, Jason Kidd that 1 year in 2013 when they were in the playoffs. Like, you know what? He moved the ball. Like, he knew what he was doing on offense. I wasn't upset with him as my starting point guard. But outside of him, they've had nothing since. And if you're going to have all these young guys on this team, like RJ Barrett, like, he's this combo guard wing sort of player. Like, you need veteran guys like Chris Paul to help develop them. And winning culture, they always say. Like, Chris Paul has that, of course. I would, if you want to get rid of Kevin Knox, I have no issues with that. I think he's one of the worst players in the entire league at this point. And if you want to move, like, some Dallas pick down the road where it's going to be like the 23rd pick in the draft, then so be it.
Yeah. Well, especially because instead of RJ, I mean, at the time, everyone would have picked him, but, like, you could even add, like, Tyler Hero, and I'd rather have Tyler Hero than RJ right now.
Oh, of course. It's RJ, he was straight disrespected on the NBA All-Rookie ballot. Straight up disrespected that he wasn't on either of those teams. But, yeah, no, I mean, you can't predict that, and I'm not upset with the RJ pick yet because he is going to be a good player. I mean, he just like any rookie player needs, like, you need help around you to be able to develop more. I mean, it's not talked about enough that he was top 5 in every major category in his rookie season before like he started coming down with like he never got significantly injured, but like he was hurt the second half of the year and like his stats did drop because of it. I mean, he was starting to play lazy a little bit. He was trying to play bully ball and he was trying to be the star because they just had nothing else on offense that could score. But like he's a total package. Like he, you know. He could take the ball up. He could score in the paint. He needs to improve his shooting, of course, but he's a solid player. And I mean, really outside of 3, 4 through 10. I mean, I couldn't even tell you any of those guys that are legit players right now, right?
No.
Garland,
Clark,
Bud.
Yeah, no, I don't really know. Oh, Kobe Valentine or whatever. He looked all right at first, but then he kind of fell off.
Kobe, the Chicago Bulls point guard?
Yeah, I mixed him up and that the other Valentine guy.
Yeah, he looked okay, but like you said, he dropped off the second half of the year too. He dropped off because Zach LaVine decided to just have like a 90% usage rate when he's on the offensive side. I think
Zach LaVine is going to be like one of the worst teammates of all time. Like I don't see anyone wanting to go join the Bulls.
Yeah, he's got to get moved.
He's your best player. You're option. Like you can't do anything if he's your best player.
Yeah, no, of course.
You mishandle the ball.
He's one of those guys that you put on, you know, like a team like the Lakers, for example. I don't know like how their cap would work if that would even work, but just a team where he knows he's the third option and, you know, maybe even have him off the bench as like a great 6-man, like a Lou Williams situation. But
that'd
like,
be good.
Get like a spark off the bench. But yeah, he can't lead any franchise.
Oh, what'd you think of the Clippers going down?
It was not what I was expecting. I do think people are overreacting though. It was a terrible series, and I do not want to give Pandemic Pete any sort of, you know, like any sort of credit or not credit, excuses or anything like that. But you know what? Like he went out and said that like he was suffering from real bad depression and anxiety being in the bubble, and I mean, I get it. Like, I'm sure you know, it's never something I've experienced, but being quarantined even this 1 week, having COVID and whatnot, which by the way, listeners of the podcast, I'm doing okay now. Don't worry about it. But I do have to quarantine for 2 weeks and like shit, even like that 2 weeks, like it gets depressing. So you stay in a bubble like that for that long. I'm sure it's tough and I'm sure it hindered his play at some point, but there's too much talent on that team. And does it need a couple tweaks? Of course it does. But the core of Kawhi and Paul George is still legit, I think. And Paul George has shown that he can compete in the playoffs in Indiana. And I know he got bounced when he was in OKC, but he played a good series against Portland that year and whatnot. That I don't think they need to hit the panic button yet. They need to give it one more year. I mean, I don't think you really have a choice because you traded so much to get Paul George to begin with.
And they fired Doc Rivers, or he resigned, or whatever it was. So they kind of already did hit the panic button. You're bringing in T. Lue, who I don't know. I mean, you got to hope like Kawhi is going to really step up and be a vocal leader now, because I guess actually Ty Lue was a vocal leader. He told LeBron, you know, sit the hell down one time. So I like that, but I don't. You have LeBron James for a reason, so you can, you know, jerk off on the sidelines and not do anything all year. Now you're going to really have to coach against these top-level guys. I don't see that working out better. I think Philly is going to
has 2 full years of coaching experience, and for a team, you know, as good as the Cavs roster was, his best season, he won 51 games. Which, I mean, I know they won the championship. They came back from 3-1, but 51 games with LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love on your team in the East? Get the hell out of here with that. I'm so not on the Ty Lue bandwagon.
Well, especially they went 7 with the Hawks one time. Like, it was just I don't trust it. I don't trust Ty Lue to do anything.
Of course, he should. He was an assistant with the Clippers though last year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He had like some ties to them. I don't see it. I don't see it. There's good coaches out there, and you know, Ty Lue. 2 years of coaching experience where, like I said, 51 wins was his peak on a team that won an NBA championship in the Eastern Conference. I think that's unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, he just has that. He's got a ring, and that's all people are ever going to look at. Like, oh, he won a championship, but if you really look into it, like he didn't do anything, or he didn't do enough to get a lot of credit for that championship. Especially if Kyrie and Kevin Love aren't going to get a lot of credit for it because it's still LeBron's team. So
Of course. I mean, and any team that LeBron is on at this point in his career, Frank Vogel did a great job. I'm not saying he didn't, but like LeBron's running the offense. LeBron's running, the adjustments and whatnot. It's LeBron's team.
for sure. What do you think on the GOAT situation? Is LeBron close the gap? I mean, I think I'm ready. I'm almost ready to say it, but it's tough. It's close.
Whoa. I'm a big Jordan stan myself, and I don't want to give it to LeBron just yet, but his time is coming and it's coming quick. I mean, was this his easiest road to the finals? I would say so. I mean, look, I'm living in Miami. I was full-blown hopping on that Miami bandwagon and whatnot. But they were a 5 seed at the end of the day. They overachieved. It's a great coach team, and I think at least for the next couple of years, they should be competing for the finals every year. 4th seed. I'm sorry, they were a 4th seed this year. But like that's it. Like Jimmy Butler played his absolute ass off, and he played incredible. But Jimmy Butler being the best player on your team against LeBron and AD, like it's
not going to happen.
Probably his easiest road to the finals. I don't want to discredit him. I mean, 4 rings, 4 finals MVPs is something only him and Jordan have ever done. But if he wins one next year, another finals MVP, and he becomes top two in scoring, I think he's still on pace to pass Kareem for most points of all time, which if he does, I don't really think there's an argument for Jordan anymore because LeBron's just longevity and all the championships is, it is what it is. But I will say this one remark about it because I think this is a great comparison. Who is the bigger stud in the situation? The guy that goes to the girl's house 6 times and gets it all 6 times, or the guy that's gone to the girl's house 10 times and only got it 4 times? Who's the bigger stud there?
I mean, yeah, you don't write home about the other guy. That's true. That's a very good point. Yeah, that's true. He's only 40% win percentage. And I would agree with you. I think some of his, getting to the finals may have been easier in those Miami years. I mean, other than, Indiana. Well, that's not even true. There was Boston, too. You're probably right. But finals matchups-wise, this is by far his easiest finals matchup. He had the Warriors. He had so many, the Spurs. He went against all these all-time teams. And, Miami Heat's a great story. I think what Miami Heat is really going to go down for in history is that they probably broke up the Bucks at the end of it. And, unless Milwaukee wins the chip next year, that's it. I don't see Giannis coming back. What are you going to – how many times are you going to run that back?
And
Chris Middleton.
You want to talk about Miami and the Bucks and whatnot. I mean, let's not forget who's going to have a max cap space come the year of Giannis's free agency.
Oh, that's just such a juicy story. You beat the Bucks 2 years later, then you take Giannis, and then you win the next 3 championships or some shit. Oh my God, wow.
I mean, it would really be incredible. And that team, you would have to say would just be the absolute high-end favorite to win the finals every year. Just at that point,
Hero, oof.
Yeah, Hero, a couple years under his belt. I think Duncan Robinson is what he is already at this point, but maybe he even improves a little bit. But Giannis under Spoelstra and just a bunch of shooters around him, and Jimmy Butler should still be there.
And Jimmy Butler, he's such a hard ass, but he's okay with being the second option, setting other guys up.
Done it all of his career.
He's one of the best. He's one of the best teammates, and if you're gonna pick some guy to start your team with, he's got to be up there. He's just talent-wise, he fits in so many different situations. And instead of coming in, you're saying, bring in Antonio Brown, you could do that, might fuck up everything. But you bring Jimmy Butler anywhere, that team's better.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because I mean, he plays both sides of the ball. He's a great defender on top of, everybody would always say oh, he's only this 18, 20 point per game scorer. Look what he did in the finals this year. Mm-hmm. He's proven to everybody that he could put up the points when he needs to, and the injuries that they had, he really stepped it up.
Oh, for sure. Now, one of the best stories, it's been a weird NBA season. I don't know. Now they're saying they might not start it up until March next year because they really want to get fans in the buildings. So we'll see how that pans out. But I think the Miami Heat, one of the better stories we had throughout this bubble, them and the Suns, the bubble Suns.
The Bubble Suns. Well, I think what makes their story pretty incredible is what we heard on the Breakfast Club or whatever,
Oh, my
whatever
Lord.
that show was.
The real MVP, that poor girl.
The real reason the Suns went undefeated. Yeah, the Suns are an interesting case. I think I watched like one or two of their games in the bubble. I mean, it was such a long shot for them to be able to compete into it. But yeah, the Miami Heat, it's everybody wrote them off in the second round. With the Suns, not the Suns, the Pacers, they were missing. Who were they missing again? It was Oladipo in the first round or Warren. It was one of those. It was one of their studs. Sabonis, of course. I think the Heat were expected to win that series, but a lot of people thought it was like a bounce after that for them. And it was just such a great coach team, and the way that they were able to. They didn't even. What did they beat the Bucks in 5? Didn't they?
Yeah, they handled the Bucks, and the fact that they beat the Celtics because that's the consensus best team, the second best team in the East. Like, and you took them. Did that go 7 or 6? But that was a hell of a series. But that was a real win. You can't discount that at all. Like, no matter what happened in the finals, that Celtics series, they went to war with the Celtics and they won.
Yeah, that poor Celtics team. I hope they don't break up. I mean, I know their young core is under contract for a bit, but I hope they're not a team that hits the panic button anytime soon because they will find the finals with that team at some point in these next couple of years.
Oh my God.
It's been a tough road for them, and nobody thought that the Heat would be what they are this year. But I mean, the Celtics coming into next year, would you say is the favorite to come out of the East? I would probably say. Oh well, I take that back. Brooklyn, I would say, is the favorite right now, and then Boston at number 2.
Well, I mean, we haven't seen Brooklyn though. I mean, everyone wants to just assume that KD is going to come back and Kyrie is going to be like Rutgers Park out in Brooklyn again. But I don't know. We don't know what that's going to look like. So I think the Celtics kind of have to be your default favorite. But I would pick the Nets over the Bucks right now because unless the Bucks really switch it up, like it's going to be the same shit again. They're going to wall off Giannis and he's going to have to do something and then pass it out to McConnell or DiVincenzo. Like,
DiVincenzo, he's terrible. He's terrible. Yeah, no, I mean, I for sure would. And I mean, you're right. We don't know what exactly the Nets are going to be, but I don't know, man. I don't want to discredit KD. He's a top 5 player in basketball, and a whole year and a half now at this point that he's going to have to recover from the injury.
That's true.
And I mean, you're hearing all the trade rumors about like Bradley Beal potentially going to the team or, one of these other guys. You make a big 3 like that in Brooklyn, it's going to be a damn good team in the East next year.
Sure, and they got pieces too. You got LeVert, that white small forward guy they got. You can get
Joe Harris, yeah.
I don't know. And then the Steve Nash thing, I think he'll be a fine coach. I didn't see why people got so upset about it. This shit has happened in NBA history so many times. He's a Hall of Fame player. He's going to become a coach if he wants to become a coach. That's how it works. Like Mark Jackson, so many guys. Ty Lue, for God's sakes. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, it's and the part that like people keep discrediting is like it was literally like KD and Kyrie wanted Steve Nash as their head coach. So why is this even like a debate of it's such a hot take that Steve Nash is the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets? He talked to their 2 superstars, and that's the guy that they wanted. So why is this even in debate?
I think a lot of people like their original coach, and they say like, "Oh, we just love how the Nets play," and then they come there and immediately like kick his ass out. But who cares? Like it's KD and Kyrie. You're gonna do that.
Of course. I mean that team was destined before they came. I mean that's a roster that's going to be like a 6th seed in the East every single year, and if they're lucky, sniff the second round. Like, come on.
It's a player-driven league because there's only so many guys. They play both sides. Like, if you go back and look through our lives, like it's because the best players were on the team. It wasn't Phil Jackson. It wasn't fucking Doc Rivers or Spo. It was because you had LeBron. You had the big 3 in the Celtics. It's the players. Like, and if you have those guys, you're going to do anything you can to keep them happy and keep them around. Especially because KD, his first season, he got paid out and he didn't even suit up once. So,
Of course. I mean, it's like you said, it's the only league really in sports where if you have the superstars on your team, you will be winning. Like that's how it works. Like, I mean, look at baseball, for example. If you want to talk about a team that has just like high name stars, well, it would be the Dodgers this year who are actually in the World Series, but they haven't won one since '87 or whatever it is. Like, if you want to talk football, there's superstars on. I don't have like a good example right now, but you could have superstars on like all these different teams, but it's like more quarterback driven league, but it's nothing's the same as the NBA. Like one player can impact your team more than any other sport.
Oh, for sure. I think Cowboys, that'd be like a nice, easy one. Like
Cowboys, yes.
Star guys and 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, like
100%, 100%.
For sure. Oh man, what was I had a thought there. Anywho, yeah, I can't think of another team. Because then, like, look at soccer, like PSG. Like, why isn't PSG winning there? You got Neymar, Mbappe. Like, that's a wrap in most books. But no, soccer. I don't know though. But maybe American people. We shouldn't even talk about soccer too much because once we get down to it, it's like, oh, what the hell do we really?
And I can't talk much about soccer because I mean, at the beginning of quarantine, I was watching. I guess like Fox Sports like gave us like free Bundesliga passes, so I was watching like all the Bayern games and whatnot. But I know nothing about soccer. I'm not going to claim that I know anything about soccer, but it was cool to see Bayern, I guess, take the Champions League games. They're like the first, they're the first team ever to go undefeated in Champions League, right?
I think so, but this has been a fucked up Champions League. And then they had to it was all like they had a bubble in a hotel in Portugal and everything, and they didn't play like 2 knockout games and like
they didn't.
It was only like one and done.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting then, but. I mean, regardless, I don't know. If I have to claim a soccer team, I guess I'll claim Bayern. Shout out to Leonard.
Oh, man, what a guy. What a G.
putting us on to soccer in Bayern Munich freshman year of college. But, yeah, I mean, it's a good team. I can't really speak too much for them. I mean, like I said, I don't know too much. I know that they have like some of the best defense in like all of soccer right now, and they have the last 5 years or so. And Lewandowski apparently went on just an absolute tear this year. Sniper. I don't know.
Well, they have a guy who's exciting for us North Americans. They have this young Canadian left back, Alphonso Davies. He's the guy like 99 pace on FIFA.
Yes,
the monster. He's so fast and he's a good player.
He's from Canada, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Some guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you love to see it. You love to see these North American guys just compete over in Europe because our system in North America for soccer development and everything is so bad that anytime that one of these guys make it over to Europe, it's impressive, and you want to see them thrive.
For sure, I think other than us, like the U.S. and Canada should probably like combine for the World Cups because between us, maybe we could have like a decent team because. Other than that, there's no – I mean, Mexico, like, they're so far beyond us. Like, they're not going to take our ass. So we got to team up with Canada, do the North American team.
I mean, I know from just, like, playing FIFA and whatnot, what's Canada? They have, like, 1 goal player on their entire roster. Like, we're not –
Look at America. We got, like, 2 goal players who we're going to talk shit. We got 5.
Oh, that's tough. Have you gotten the new FIFA, actually?
I haven't actually. I got the new Madden. I've been playing with that. It's all right, but same old shit as always. Have you?
Yeah, I'm waiting on. I got like the pre-order for like I was one of the lucky ones where my computer didn't crash for the new Xbox. So I'm waiting for that so I can get like all the new gen like sport games and whatnot. So that'll be pretty interesting. But yeah, I'll be sure to check out FIFA. I'll give you a review on the podcast. You'll be the first person I talk to about it.
I appreciate it, man. Have you been playing any new games or anything, or?
No, not really right now. Like, I don't want to drop money when November 12th comes out, and then I'll have like the man cave set up in my room where I will just be playing straight Xbox for at least 2 weeks.
I might have to make the switch because did you hear about Xbox and Bethesda?
Oh, of course. I mean, I was considering the PS5 for a little bit, but I didn't go for the pre-order or anything, and if I didn't get like the I lost my train of thought. I didn't like. What was I talking about again?
the PlayStation.
My roommate like walked over and he's asking me if I want Chinese food, and then it got me thinking about food for a second.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
No worries, man.
But yeah, no, I mean, like the Bethesda news was massive. But do you think Elder Scrolls 6 is really going to be an Xbox exclusive? I can't imagine it would be. That's such a massive game.
I'm saying it probably has to be because they just got butt fucked by the PS4 exclusives. They had God of War, Last of Us. They had 10, 12 bangers. And now Xbox needs to come back with it. I mean,
and they do.
yes,
MLB,
Halo. There were a couple Xbox ones, but if you can take Elder Scrolls, that's huge. That is so big.
Well, but that's it. Like Last of Us, massive game. MLB The Show, massive game. Like these are like if you're making a decision on a system, like these are massive decisions to make. But Skyrim is literally the best game ever made, and there is no debate for another game.
Amen.
I mean, you and me both. Like we were. Are you kidding me? Back in Flagler, we were.
Amen, brother.
We were running the hell out of Skyrim, and like they added the mods and whatnot. Like that's a game that I think is like almost too massive that you can't make exclusive. Elder Scrolls 6, I am fully confident will be the best game ever made, just like Skyrim was, just like Oblivion was before that, and Morrowind was a little bit before my time, so I'm not too familiar with it, but like they just anytime that a new Elder Scrolls comes out that's not Elder Scrolls Online, which really wasn't made by the full Bethesda studios anyways.
Yeah, I didn't even get it, honestly.
It's decade changing. Can you really make that an exclusive?
I hope not, but that's what they're saying. I mean, that's why they did it, just to pull this like massive trump card on people. Like, hey, Bethesda, you got Fallout. Oh my God! All of my favorite games are all
what's
Bethesda
it like?
games.
This Star game coming out, Starfield or whatever. Apparently, this game's supposed to be out of this world, no pun intended, but out of this world, unbelievable. It's like this. It's like the space version of Fallout. Like, are you kidding me? Of course, I would be purchasing this game.
Hell yeah! And oh shit. Well, the PS4, I think that's what they've been saying. And then the Xbox guy even came out and said that's the plan. Like, they want to make it exclusive, but
that's massive. I mean, I assume you're going to go with the PS5, with having the PS4.
I was, and now I don't know because I mean I have all this fucking PS4 stuff I paid all this money for, but am I going to give up Elder? I might have to wait, honestly, see what's the deal with the ESO, and then go. Elder Scrolls, not ESO. ESO's the online one.
But so if Elder Scrolls is an Xbox exclusive, you would go Xbox.
You gotta get the Xbox.
You would have to.
You have to. I mean, what? How could you not? I played Skyrim. I put so much time into Skyrim. I can't not play Elder Scrolls 6. Like it would kill me.
There's simply simply no way. I mean, like I've already planned out whenever that game comes out. Like wherever I'm working at that point, I will take.
Oh shit! You back?
Thinking like, yeah, I got like a call and it's like connected to my iPad or whatever. But yeah, no, like like a game like that it's straight up deal changing. I mean, I don't know if you're like a PC guy yourself, but there's because you know Microsoft is already all over the PC market too. Like it will be on PC. I think that's guaranteed. But yeah, it's some big decisions to make.
It's tough. Well, I don't. Did you ever play The Witcher 3?
No, but I will play it before. If I get a new game, if I'm just getting bored of this system before the new console releases, I will buy Witcher because it's like $10 on the market right now, and I hear it's incredible.
It is. Well, now it's a little aged too. I'm sure it's going to be hyped up on the Xbox S or One X, whatever they call it. But Cyberpunk 2077, that's going to be like one of the hot new games coming out. It's going to be November 19th, and that's made by the Witcher people, and that's going to be a bomb-ass game that should come out for launch time.
Interesting. I've heard about it, but I don't know much about that game, actually. But, I mean, like, once the new system releases, I'm going to have to get, like, every game. I'm going to have to get 2K, FIFA, Call of Duty, of course, with the new Battle Royale. This game that you're talking about. Starfield, allegedly, like, there's rumors that this game's supposed to drop this year, and if it does, that's a Fallout-esque game. Like, that's game of the year potential and whatnot. I would assume that they remaster Red Dead Redemption, which I will 100% be replaying if they do such a thing.
Well, I think it's already going to look so much better. I don't know if they're going to. Well, I think a lot of people are mad because they don't want to buy the same game again, and like they've had to kind of make that concession. Like, all right, you bought FIFA 21, you get it for both systems, so I think you're going to be able to play a lot of these games and it'll look better, but. Oh man, could you imagine Red Dead 2 remastered, all that full like 4K and everything? Oh damn! It's like
That's one of the best looking games right now. Like for like an RPG game, like they don't have graphics like that. They don't have scenery like that. And Red Dead, I really only played it through once, but what a game to play through. I mean, the scenery, the just like all the Easter eggs that are involved in this game. It's so overlooked because everybody's like, oh, I want GTA 6. Like, when are they dropping GTA 6? But in my opinion, like the Red Dead games are always better than GTA. I don't want to like trick out like my 8th Lamborghini and hit a ramp, and next thing I know, I'm on top of the tallest building in the damn all of Los Santos. Like, I want to catch my white Arabian horse, train that thing up, groom him, like go through it that way.
Well, did you ever do the Red Dead Online? Because I think that's where a lot of people get left off. Because like GTA Online, it's so robust. There's so much shit to do, and like GTA Online, like, all right, I'm gonna put a new saddle on my horse and go fuck around a little bit. Like it's so big and empty. Like,
yeah, but I think I did play the online like when it came out, and it wasn't good. And like I played it for about a week and I gave up on it, but they've added like a lot of different like specialist class and whatnot. Like you could be like a professional butcher now, and apparently it's fun as shit to be like a professional butcher in this game. Or, like, you train horses, and apparently training horses is like unbelievably fun. I mean, I haven't played it yet, but like the specialists like what they need to do, they need to add the zombies back like they did in Red Dead 1.
Yes.
Like that's what you need to do. Say that again?
Especially because Halloween and Call of Duty's already beating them to it with their zombie royale shit. Well, that looks crazy. I don't even know how that's gonna work out.
Yeah, apparently you're gonna be a zombie. Like once you die, like there's no gulag anymore. Like you're just a straight up zombie wreaking havoc on the entire map once you once you get shot down.
It's gonna be wild.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be playing. I mean, really, Warzone's like the game that I've been playing these last couple weeks or so.
I mean, I like it. It's hyped, but I seriously, I've tried to download it twice, and like my shit crashes before it downloads. I have to start over.
Really?
Yeah, no. It's
get that downloaded. We'll run up some quads.
Yeah, no, I'll have to try again. But it's a massive download. It's like 100. It's like over 100 gigs, right?
Well, I think the full game is over 100 gigs. Like it's like close to 200 gigs or something like that. I think Warzone itself is like 60 to 70. Okay. It's a massive game. Don't get me wrong, but I mean it's free.
That's true.
It's fun online. You're able to like grind up your weapons and whatnot. So I mean, I recommend it. It's the game I'm playing right now.
Gotcha. All right. Well, do you got to go eat lunch, man?
Yeah, I'm a little behind on work at this point. Probably got to catch up to it. But it's just like all these conversations got me so worked up. I lost track of time here.
No, of course, man. Well, let's do it again soon. Have a good day, Ryan. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Appreciate you having you.
Hey, absolutely. Anytime, Jack. And let me know when you get Warzone. We'll be running that soon enough.
All right, sounds good, bro. Take it easy, man.
All right, man.
Peace.